My name is Alan Mwangi. I am the general manager as well as our in-house creative at Rydlr Crowd Services.
I go by the name Enoch, second name Otieno, and I am the Chief Technical Officer at Rydlr Cloud Services.
Rydlr was founded in 2020 in July. We're coming up on our first birthday, and our focus is largely on creating products that apply machine learning, data engineering, and artificial intelligence to support high-impact business solutions. So the Bantering billboard was part of Safaricom's Twin Day UK campaign, which was celebrating their 20 years serving the Kenyan market. The billboard itself leveraged artificial intelligence, computer vision, to talk about you as well as to talk with you and engage with you. So for Safaricom in particular, they were really trying to live out their messaging of let's go beyond. That's their new branding. It's to show the new direction that they're trying to push as far as the future is concerned. So for them, it was really, really key that they celebrate this with Kenyans. So the question then became, or the challenge, how might we create a personalized out-of-home experience that can sort of engage with each individual Kenyan that comes across to interact with this billboard? The solution is simply just a digital billboard, a screen in this case, a CCTV camera in this case that we were using as our sensor to actually collect the data, and then just showcasing on the actual screen itself the vehicles that we were capturing, and then a message was just being triggered every vehicle. So naturally, if a red Toyota comes to the roundabout, it says, "Hey, you in the red Toyota, happy anniversary from Safaricom."
So the core technologies that were involved in building the Bantering billboard were heavily web-based. So in this instance, we used HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Our initial backend involved Python, but after a couple of tryouts, we had to settle on JavaScript on the web. Yeah. So the core technologies involved in building this solution included the billboard screen. We had a CCTV camera that now connected to a PC device and was able to provide the video feed to a computer vision model that was later on transmitted through a web interface onto the screen. So for computer vision, we initially started out with OpenCV just to recognize what object was in front of us. Then it took a picture and we had a TensorFlow model that was able to identify the vehicle make and the vehicle color. And this was TensorFlow Lite, the JavaScript version.
I would say the first is an additional format that hasn't been seen in the market whatsoever. So that allowed them to get creative in terms of what interactivity they could actually use and do. And I think the second was the quality of data they were able to actually get in terms of interaction with this actual campaign itself. So again, traditional out of home, I have no way of actually collecting data. Then they were actually able to make real-time decisions and actually make decisions based on performance, which they actually did. We were actually able to change messaging throughout the campaign 3 or 4 different times, and that allowed us for that. So there's 2 areas that you can look at it. You can look at online advertising, which is a bit more democratized. Everyone can leverage and use that. On the other side is broadcast media. Broadcast media is typically known just for the masses. Broadcast media is also quite hard to get into unless you have the big sort of budget. This was sort of our first step in also just showcasing to people that, number one, you can change formats. They don't have to stay the same. So TV doesn't have to stay TV, it can be interactive. Digital out of home doesn't have to just be static, it can also be interactive. And that was the essential idea. And then eventually we'll take it to now democratizing it for everyone, which is the eventual goal.
I'd say the other challenges that came about would be with our initial model, because our initial model basically was checking out the entire vehicle. So we had to minimize the amount of bias and focus only on the vehicle logo and the color. So the vehicle logo mainly depended on us having to get a correct prediction out of it instead of having to take the picture of the entire vehicle. We only just took the logo of the vehicle and give us some feedback in regards to having to display the feedback to the audience.
Just trying to leverage the technical aspects, and how do we take the technical aspects and use them as a creative device within the campaign? And I think that's the gold here. Is people will always be able to create solutions. There's tons of developers in this market, right? We have all the guys who are at Della, all the guys at iHub, etc. But taking that and actually solving an actual problem for client, whether that's creatively or business-wise, is not the easiest thing to do. So that was really, for me, the struggle was really trying to test that out and figure that out, and then translate it onto the technical side with someone like Enoch.
The challenges would be having to come from your traditional environment, whereby most developers normally are seated in front of a PC. Yeah, but now when the rubber meets the road, that's when you discover that a couple of things are not working here and there. So that's the point whereby we now made the decision to transfer a majority of the solution from Python to JavaScript, because when it comes to the web browser, it looks like you can't really escape JavaScript when it comes to having real-time feedback there on the spot. I'd say there are quite several opportunities that AI would solve for Africa. This ranges from agriculture all the way to healthcare. Yeah, with agriculture, this would be mainly in regards to automation, having to make your irrigation process automated, checking the soil humidity, and just getting to discover a couple of things about your produce and the direction that you're headed in regards to trying to sustain a majority of what Africa considers as its backbone.
I would say focus on the problem. I think that AI and machine learning are very big buzzwords right now that a lot of people will attach themselves to, whether that's to get more attention, to show that they're more innovative, or that they're trying to solve a hard problem. But I think focus on the problem, focus on the data quality that you're actually getting and leveraging that data creatively to, again, now actually solve an actual problem or create something that is of value to several different stakeholders. I think that's what I would suggest.
Any advice I'd provide would be, when you're not part of the bandwagon, then you're part of the road of a new technology. So I wouldn't really encourage them to adopt AI, but the encouragement here would be, look for solutions that would require AI and implement it as soon as possible, just to kind of like get the rough parts of the initial start lined out.
We've got a lot coming up in the pipeline. We are, of course, adding different channels to our current network. So obviously, everyone has seen the billboard channel, but we have others as well. We have a retail network. We have a bar network that we're currently working on as well. And we're looking to add fuel stations as well as transport into that network. So there's that. There's a consumer app coming soon. I mentioned that we are looking to focus on the benevolence of AI and machine learning and democratize that for the largest subset of advertisers, which are small businesses, content creators, etc., who don't have access to broadcast media. And then I would say the other thing is we're currently in talks with a group to see how, as soon as we finish our MVP within this market, is how do we scale that out now to 40 plus markets. So those are the things that you can watch out for.